problem with you thinking that you've done the coolest shit in your life already and you having nothing else left to do? The problem with thinking that your best days are behind you is that you can't put yourself in a position to win. You can't create new adventures in life. You keep underselling yourself. Welcome to the VetRise Podcast. I'm your host, Juan Perez. My goal is to make success after service accessible to every veteran in society. I believe in the power of leveraging your service, not as a label that defines you, but as a launching pad for your next chapter. What we have been doing hasn't been working, and it's on us to start changing the culture. Enjoy the episode, and thank you for your time. When you stop caring what everybody thinks about you, when you stop giving away your power, that's when you can actually reach your full potential. When we get out as veterans, a lot of our perceptions, way of life, living, belief systems, cultures, values, morals, ethics, principles, a lot of them are rooted in a culture that we no longer belong to. And I'm not saying that it doesn't serve a purpose. I think it serves a very strong purpose. I think that we need to bring a lot of that with us because it's very useful. And I think that one of the most important things that we can do in this world is be useful. But not everything helps you. So what is the point of all this? What is the point of this podcast? What is the point of the VetRise Academy? What is the point of JP, the veteran coach? What is the point of making these videos, recording these podcasts? I'm here to change the veteran culture. I'm here to make a absolutely epic impact on how we live our lives as veterans. I think that the way that we've been doing things, the way that veterans get out, transition out, and instead of understanding that they need to let go of the ego, they need to come into society and be successful by properly transitioning and acclimating and letting go of the negative stereotypes that we bring with us as veterans, I think that that is very much hurting us. And we do it to ourselves. When you live in an echo chamber and you find confirmation bias in what you believe, your mind will never change. I believe that you should try and find something new every single day that will change your mind about something. You don't question the things that you believe because you think that they are true. But if the things that you have been doing based on your belief system have not been working, then maybe it's time to do something a little bit differently. When I left the military, I didn't come back into society the right way. I honestly prolonged it because I went into law enforcement. So a lot of the negative things that the military gave me stayed with me. And I think that when you don't address the things that are holding you back, when you use them to propel you forward in a career that needs them at the time, they feel useful. They feel like, okay, I'm going down the right path. I'm doing the right things. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with me because I'm being successful at this job. But you're not paying attention to the fact that your family doesn't like to be around you. Your sister cringes every time you talk because you say something way off the wall all the time. Your brother feels like his brother never came home because he doesn't even spend time with him. Your mother doesn't understand why it is that you can't be around a crowd of people. Your father tries to do everything he can to help you acclimate better, but yet you come home and the first thing you do is fall in love with a girl that you thought you were going to marry and you end up marrying her, and then it leads to divorce. You drink all the time and you feel lost. You feel lost because you don't have the same purpose that you used to have. Think about it. You went from possibly being this 21-year-old that was in charge of other younger kids, honestly, than them. and you were put into a leadership role at a very young age. Maybe you led men in combat. Maybe you not only led men in combat, but you were engaged in combat and you felt like you did something amazing. You felt like you did something very hard and you felt like you accomplished a lot in life. And it's hard. It's hard because you feel like you accomplished all these things. And then you come home and what is there? What feels different? Everything feels different. You don't feel the same. You don't feel like you were on that pedestal anymore. You don't feel like you belong. You don't feel like you're around your people because you're not. But that doesn't stop there. You need to change. The culture needs to change. You need to understand that you can't just surround yourself around veterans. You should surround yourself with veterans, but they have to be veterans that are willing to help you become successful. Because that is what we were working towards. Creating success after service for every veteran. And success can mean like a lot of things, right? So these are my opinions. A lot of people criticize me because they say that, well, this isn't the way that it is for everybody. And some veterans did transition well and you're making veterans look bad. You know what? I really don't care what their opinions are because obviously if they're closed-minded to the fact that they think that veterans transition well as a whole, then they're closed-minded to a lot of other stuff. And I'm not here to influence the people that don't want to be influenced. That's fine. I'm here to help the people that need help, that want help, that are willing to listen, willing to do something, willing to change their lives and want that. So again, this is my opinion based on my experiences and the things that I've done that have helped me transition properly. And when I say transition properly, I don't mean perfectly. It was a 10-year experience. The first 5 years of that transition, honestly, I was stalling out. I was delaying my healing because I was still using a lot of those negative habits, negative traits that the military gave me, the ego, the judgment, the cockiness, the arrogance. And a lot of people are going to sit here and be like, well, you know what? We're not all arrogant. We're not all cocky. You're right, we're not. But the thing is, when you're in, it comes off as confidence. It comes off as mission planning. It comes off as being able to handle any situation that comes your way because that's what's expected of you. And when you're expected to do a lot at a young age, it's very hard to come back into this world and realize that you don't know it all. You don't know what to do. You don't know what's next. You have no idea what the answers are. You don't know how to put together a resume. You don't know how to apply for a job. You don't know how to make new friends. You don't know how to date. And that's okay. Because the realization, that's the beautiful part right there. Because when you realize that things are not what they need to be, then you can start making changes. Because if you don't make changes, if you think that, well, this is just how it is, and life is life, and I am angry and I am bitter, and society fucking sucks, then guess what? You are putting yourself in a position that you are going to be stuck in. Because if you think that this is just the way it is, I hate that saying, by the way. Things are not just the way they are. You can change them. You can control them. You can respond to them. Everything is temporary. We are only here on this planet for a certain amount of years, and then we die, and then we leave, and then we go on, and then our memory is here. But unless you did epic shit, unless you left a positive mark on this world, you're done. You're gone. So in my opinion, I feel like when we are on this planet, we need to leave something positive behind. We need to do something so amazing, so epic, that our name is not forgotten. I don't look for happiness in life. For the longest, I was chasing happiness. But I believe that when you chase happiness, you're implying that you are not happy. I believe that when you chase happiness, you are looking around you and saying that the things that you have in your life currently at the moment do not make you happy. And I think when you think that way, then you truly feel lost. You truly feel sad. I am living my life to do epic shit. I am living my life because I want to leave a mark on this planet. And for years, I played small. For years, I held back. For years, I thought that there's no way that I could do that. I'm just me. I'm just this kid that grew up in Chicago, moved to Cicero, got involved in gang banging, got arrested, got suspended, got expelled, ended up finally graduating from high school and joined the Marine Corps. And I thought that the Marine Corps was the best thing that I could ever do with my life. And I thought everything after that would be downhill. And not only did I believe that, but I freaking touted it from the highest hills. I carried that with me. And the problem with believing that, the problem with you thinking that you've done the coolest shit in your life already and you have nothing else left to do, the problem with thinking that your best days are behind you is that you can't put yourself in a position to win. You can't create new adventures in your life. You can't create new opportunities for yourself. Everything looks like overwhelm to you instead of opportunity. And when you don't open yourself up to new opportunities, when you don't open yourself up to realizing that there are other ways of thinking, there are other things to do in this life, well, that's when the bitterness starts to settle in. That's when the anger starts to happen. That's when the frustration, that's when the loss of identity doesn't leave you. That's when you can't find your purpose. And everybody should be looking for their purpose, right? However, I believe that you can create your purpose. You don't have to find it. You can create your passion. You don't have to find it. Whatever you enjoy doing, you can lean into it. And when you do that, when you are willing to lean into the things that make you a little uncomfortable, you're willing to lean into trying to find a new way, new system, new friends, new way of living, new thoughts, new adventures, then you realize that the Marine Corps was just a chapter of your life. I think a lot of us know that the Marine Corps is very much cult-like. And do not twist my words, I love the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps is one of the reasons why I am capable of doing everything that I am capable of doing, because they gave me such confidence that I leverage it every single day. But if I would have just gotten out of the Marine Corps and not changed my perspective on a lot of things that I believed were true, then I would have kept going down that negative path. I would have kept drinking every night. I would have kept pushing people away. I would have kept feeling miserable and angry. I would have kept feeling like my life was not worth living, and I would have eventually taken my life. And yes, I do mean that. And it's hard to talk about. I'm obviously not there anymore. But there's also nothing wrong with saying it out loud. A lot of people feel like there's this taboo about talking about negative things, and you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. Why not? Like, what is so bad about talking about being able to survive one of the worst things that you can do in life? Because if I did it, then you can too. And if you can too, then other people can too. I don't think that there's anything wrong with talking about surviving. I don't think that there's anything wrong with being a little bit vulnerable and talking about the things that you're going through, especially if it helps you develop a plan. I don't think that there's anything wrong with judging other people. And let me be clear on that. As long as you don't judge them against yourself, as long as you judge whether they are someone good or bad to be in your life, then you can start to gauge what type of people you want in your life. You don't have to only surround yourself with veterans. You don't have to only surround yourself with people who, quote unquote, understand you. There are no rules to this world. There are no rules to society. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to live a 9-to-5. You don't have to get out of the military and join a law enforcement agency. You don't have to only become a cop. You don't have to only do this or that. There are no rules. You don't have to only hang out with veterans. You don't have to go back into the military when you feel angry because you feel like nobody understands you. In the military, a lot of it was very much organized. And we get out and we feel like there's all this disorganization. But until you pay attention, until you realize that the disorganization is actually a positive, because that means that because you are organized, because you have discipline, you can actually excel in this world much more than other people can. I don't think that we understand just how skilled we are. Adaptability goes a long way. Creativity, willingness to fight, discipline, core values. We treat these things as if they were something that we had. We still have it. So instead of leaving the military and coming home and not letting go of that pride that you carried with you, you got to transform it. You got to do a hard reset on your system. You have to clear out all of the browsers that you have on your computer in your head. You have to make space for more, new. You have to update your system. It is a reset. It is not just a transition. Because if you are transitioning, you're going to give yourself a very long timeline to do so. And when you do that, you're going to keep coming up with all these excuses of why you are transitioning so slowly. But if you come home and you tell yourself, all right, I am not in the military anymore. I need to survive here because I need to thrive here eventually. So I need to do a reset. Reset your system. Change your standards. And what do I mean by that? I mean that you have to understand that you cannot expect everyone else to live up to your standards. And you have to learn that people are just people. You can't judge everyone against who you used to be because that's not you anymore. You are not fighting in a war. You are not in the military. You don't have to have that hypervigilance up at all times. You have to understand that that starts to look like paranoia. I believe that when you can start letting go of the fact that you're not in anymore, you can start giving yourself permission to start creating something new and even more amazing. If you want to start a podcast, start the podcast. If you want to write a book, write the book. If you want to open up a business, open up a business. If you want to get promoted at work, go to law school, become a doctor, become an astronaut. Like everything is possible. Sometimes I think that veterans undersell themselves because they feel like they could never do anything that would measure up to what they did while they were in. Like, let that sink in. Sometimes I feel like veterans undersell themselves because they feel like they could never do anything that would ever measure up to what they did when they were in. And when you believe that, when that is your reality, why would you even try? So if you believe that you could never do anything as amazing as you did when you were in, then what is the point of trying? You have to realize that it's just not true. It's a false reality. And the false reality will only stay present if you don't actively work on changing it. And how do you change it? Well, you start to change it by letting go of the ego. Understanding that you are in a new society, a new culture, and you need to learn by asking questions, by being a sponge, by trying new things, by being willing to let people be the people that teach you stuff. You don't have to be the one that's always teaching everybody something. You don't have to be at the bar all the time. I used to think that people would want to know what my MOS was when they asked me if I was in the military, even if it was another veteran. And I used to be so excited to tell them what it was that I did. Now I realize that it does matter, but not as much as I used to think it did. Because it's not what I'm doing now. It's something that I did, but that's not what I'm doing now. I'm doing something different now. I am much more proud. I am much more excited. I am much more just happy knowing that I am making a difference in the world now by what I am doing now. What I did, it doesn't carry any more weight. It is just in the past, and the past doesn't define me. I can't use that to promote myself any much more than I can use the fact that I was in Afghanistan. And you might think, well, listen, if you're a combat vet and this and that, listen, cool, I get it. We all have stories, we all have our past, and it means a lot to us. I'm not taking that away from you. What I'm saying is that when you hold your past in this high regard and you put it in this pedestal, how can anything that you do ever live up to that? I actively try and make sure that I destroy my pedestals and I put new things on the pedestal and then I destroy it. And what do I mean by destroy it? I mean that I come up with bigger and better things to do. I keep outdoing myself. And it's not about doing hard work at all times. It's not about working 24/7. It's about doing the right things that actually get you ahead in life. You don't need to be in the gym 2 hours a day to make progress. You need to be in the gym smart, effective, and have a plan that actually gets you results. You don't need to be the coolest person in the room anymore. Like, you're freaking cool on your own. But you don't have to tell everybody what you did. You don't have to tout about your past combat experience or this or that. And the problem with that is that we gauge other veterans against us based on what they did. So if you meet a veteran at a bar, which is where most veterans meet other veterans unless they have started to change and evolve, right? In the past, that's how it used to be. And that is one of my gripes with military culture, veteran culture. Everybody wants to know, what MOS were you? What did you do? Who did you serve with? I don't think it matters that much. You served, you raised your right hand, you enlisted, or maybe you were an officer. And if people want to know what you did just because they want to have a commonality with you, or they want to talk, or they want to ask you questions, or they want to just build a little rapport, great. But if deep down inside, the reason you're asking is because you want to know if you're more of a fucking badass than him, like, really ask yourself that. Like, is that the way that you gauge who you are? Based off of something that you used to do? That's no way to live. So I want to encourage all of you. Do some self-reflection. Think about where you want to be. And if you want to be somewhere else than where you are at right now, you need to start living differently, because what you have been doing has not been working. The anger and the bitterness that we feel when we get out because we transition and then we don't realize it should have been a hard reset, that holds us back. And there's a lot more to it. Like, we are human beings. We are a subculture of a subculture. And when we can accept that, we can realize that we are not in competition with each other. It's collaboration. We can bring each other up. We can keep helping each other. But it won't happen if we keep thinking that we are messed up from the past, that we have nothing that we can do, and society doesn't understand us. And again, these are my opinions, but I'm telling you, it worked for me. It worked for a lot of other people. The veteran culture needs to change. Because if it doesn't change, we are going to continue to see veteran suicides. And the numbers are just way too high. We wonder why we can't change that. And yet we refuse to change our mind on the silliest things. Like, we can give each other shit, we can banter, we can joke around, we can share a joke, we can share a beer. And that's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it goes further than that, when that is all you do, when that is your all, when all you want to do is drink and reminisce about the past, when all you want to do is be miserable and angry because you feel like nobody understands you, your growth is limited because of you. So again, we are not who we used to be. We have a lot more that we can accomplish, and we have a lot more that we can do. So don't give up. Don't slow down. Don't be willing to feel stuck. Stop caring so much about what other people think about you. And stop judging people. Stop being angry all the time. I am asking you that if you want to help veterans do better in this world, it starts with you. It starts with you. We all deserve more. You deserve more. But you have to earn it again. Because you are in society now. And you can do better than a lot of these people here because you know what, you have the experience, you have the intelligence, you have the knowledge. You just have to put it to action. Thank you for your time. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the VetRise Podcast. If today's episode inspired you, made you think, or simply just gave you hope, I have a small favor to ask. Share it with just one veteran or someone you think could benefit from my message. Your share could light a spark for them. You don't know who you might save. For more insights and to join this mission, follow my socials at JP the Veteran Coach and explore how we can rise together. Thank you for joining us, for being part of this journey, and for believing in the power of rising together as veterans. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep rising, and never forget we are stronger together. My name is Juan Perez, and thank you for your time.